In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can create a blog using Tailwind CSS and Next.js. We are going to create this blog from scratch. We'll start by building a UI first, and then we'll see how we can start building backend in Next.js. Let's move on to our computer screen and let's get started. Alright, so first step for me is going to be to create a new project, and I'm going to create a new Next project, and then we are going to find some template for the blog because I don't want to spend a lot of time in writing HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Of course, we'll be writing some code in HTML, CSS and JavaScript, but for now, let's get started with finding a blog template. So here is my Google Chrome and I'll say Tailwind blog template. Let's see if I can find something. Tailwindawesome.com. Let me see if there is any good Tailwind template here. Yes, I can find a few. Let me open some other search box. Tailwindtoolbox.com. Okay, let me see if I can find some blog template here. Blog, you can use any template of your liking. You don't have to use exactly the same one which I'm using, but if you want to follow along, you might want to use exactly the same thing. So let me open this template and let me see if I can download it for free. So there is a template called Tableau. I just want to show you how to search for free templates. This is a portfolio template. Let me write blog here. Okay, so this is a template which I just found. Let me click on view details. Let me get the template and let me download it. Okay, so this looks pretty promising. Let me see what's there inside of this. Okay, so they gave me a zip file. Let me show this in Finder, double click to extract. And I think we just extracted some files from this. And this is what it gave me. Let me see if I can run this in live server. So this is the template which it gave me. Let me open a new terminal. And let me also, or rather let me do one thing. Let me open my VS Code and let me drag this into VS Code and let's see if we can find whether this blog template is good or not. So let me go live using live server. I'm just finding, or rather trying to find out a template which looks good and which can show all my posts. And at the same time, I can write my own code to implement the backend of that blog. Let me open the other page. So the first page was blog.html. I think the other one was post.html. Let me open a post and see if they have linked it to post.html. I think it was post.html. Yes. So this is the blog post. So this template looks pretty good to me. And I think we can get started using this template. Okay. So I'm going to use this one. And also I'm going to use Next.js. So let me do one thing. Let me create a new Next project. So I'll say create a new Next project, get started, create Next app. So I'm going to copy this command from the Next.js documentation, create Next app. You can use the npx or yarn, anything of your liking. I'm going to use npx. Okay, or rather let me use yarn. A lot of people, they like to use yarn. So if I use yarn, I should be able to create a new Next project. So let me set things up very quickly. I'm going to close this tab, and also I want to make sure that my next app is created here. So let me do one thing. Let me go back and let me open a new terminal here. Let me paste this command and let me name my app as blog app or blog next. No. So I'm going to continue with the default options. I don't want to use the experimental app directory, although let me tell you, it is really awesome, but just for you to follow along and just to keep things simple, I don't want to complicate a lot of things. So we are going to use the pages directory from Next.js. Let me drag this folder in VS Code. So where's my VS Code? Okay, there you go. Where is my blog next? Here is my blog next, and yes, I can now set up everything, and let me move this to desktop too. And now I can do something like this so that I can actually change my code and preview it at the same time using the browser. So we are good to go. Let me open pages and let me open index.js from pages folder. And let me also remove this main and let me copy the home page that we just downloaded. Let me do one thing. Let me open this and let me copy these two files. Control C to copy and Control V to paste. So this is my template. I'm definitely going to delete it afterwards, but let me copy this and let me see how they are using Tailwind CSS. So these are the fonts which they have imported, and I want to add them to my global styles. So I'm going to add this font to my global styles, and also I don't want to add Tailwind CDN because I have some other way to use Tailwind CSS. They have Alpine.js, they have these things. Okay, so we can use Alpine.js and Font Awesome. That should be fine. And what else do they have? Yeah, and then they have this navbar, body, everything is good. Okay, so let me copy this navbar and let me create a component. So I'm going to create a folder called components, and inside components I'm going to create navbar.js, and I'll type RAFCE, and then I'm going to paste the navbar here, and I'll remove this div. I don't want this div. This should be good. So instead of class is equal to, I want to say class name is equal to. So I'll change all occurrences and I'll say class name is equal to. So this is how it looks at this point. And definitely I want to use my navbar on all the pages, which is why I will come to my underscore app.js, and instead of returning this, I'm going to return this navbar. So I want to use navbar, and I'm going to enclose this inside of parentheses. This should be good, but let me do one thing. Let me enclose this within a React fragment. Control X, format document, and yeah, this looks good. So this is how we can add navbar to all the pages. Let me see how my blog looks. We haven't yet previewed our blog so far. So let me say yarn dev. This will start a dev server. I can open this dev server by clicking on this link and pressing Ctrl at the same time. And this is the navbar. It doesn't work because we haven't added Tailwind CSS. So let me add Tailwind CSS to my project. Add Tailwind to Next.js. You'll find the instructions to add Tailwind CSS to your project. Instead of saying npm install, I'm going to say yarn add. So you can either use npm install or you can use yarn add. So I'll say yarn add. And in the meantime, I'll copy the next command and I will paste it. And then I will copy this thing, tailwind.conf.js, tailwind.conf.js. It will be generated automatically. Let me Control A, Control V. This looks good. Okay, awesome. Now I'm going to add this to globals.css, but I've also added a font, which is fine. And then yes, they are running the dev server. So let me run the dev server, and my template should work now. Let me reload, and yes, it works. Awesome. Okay, so this is how your navbar will look like. And this is the same navbar which we had in our template. But there are two more files which they were using. Let me see what were those two files. And if we can somehow use those two files, we should be able to see those icons. So the first file was this thing. For Alpine.js, and the second one was Font Awesome. Let me download Alpine.js. So I'll say Alpine.js, and you know what, let's not use Alpine.js because we are going to write JavaScript, and if required we'll use Alpine.js. For now I want to add this Font Awesome, and let me see if I can use the same script, or should I use some other method to use Font Awesome. So I'll say Font Awesome to Next.js, and let's see how we can add Font Awesome to our Next.js projects. Font Awesome has changed a bit because they are now using a way to give access tokens to each and every developer, but previously there used to be a link and you were good to use this thing. But let me do one thing. Let me try to use this as is, and let me try to add this to my Navbar, or rather app.js. I should be able to use it in app.js, or let's use it in Navbar. So I'll say import script from next script, and let me add script, and I'm going to use next script, and what's wrong? So JSX expressions must have one parent element. Okay, got it. So the problem is that I need to wrap it inside of a fragment. Awesome, no problems. I'll wrap it inside of a fragment, and let's see if this works. I think this doesn't work. Okay, it works. Awesome. It works, and we got these icons. So we are very close to building our blog. Okay, so we just built a navbar, and we are going to now build the home page. So in order to build the home page, I will copy the body. So they have BG White, font family, Carla. I'm going to change this body tag to div tag. Why? Because I can't use body directly. So I'll change it to div tag. So I'll say div instead of body. I'll say div. And what else should I do? Okay, so where's my body? I'll change it to div, and I will use JavaScript comments because HTML comments won't work here. And they have some Alpine.js being used here. Let me remove it because I don't want to use Alpine.js. And let me remove this as well. So they are using Alpine.js, but I don't want to use it. So let me remove it. Okay. Yeah, sure. Let's remove it. And let's remove this part as well. I know I might be into trouble because there is some functionality in this template which is being driven by Alpine.js, but I want to keep it minimal and I don't want to bloat it with third-party libraries. So let's not use Alpine.js. Okay, where else are they using Alpine.js? Let me see. I think everything looks good to me, and yes, I need to use a self-closing tag. And what else? I need to comment this out. I need to see what's wrong here. Okay, so this needs to be a self-closing tag. And yeah, this is how we can fix it. So there are a lot of things which I need to fix, I guess, and I'm going to remove this footer because this footer will go to footer.js. Okay, so let me copy this footer from footer to footer and let me remove it. Okay, so I'll remove it to a component called footer.js, and there you go. This is my footer.js, and yes, everything looks good now. So this is a function which returns this thing. So let me create it as an arrow function. So let me cut it and not write it as script, but rather I'm going to define a function. I'll say const get carousel data is equal to an arrow function and let's see if we are getting any errors. No, we are not getting any errors. Yay. So there is no sidebar, which is fine. I don't want to use a sidebar, but if you want to, you can always add the sidebar. But let me see if I can add the sidebar. So the aside tag which we saw was actually driving the sidebar. Okay, so let me remove Alpine.js from the sidebar. So let me copy this first and let me add it to right after pagination. So I'll add it to right after pagination. And yes, I'll fix all these. But why is this throwing an error? So first I need to fix this. Then this aside tag is not working. Okay, it's not working because no, everything looks good to me at this point. Let me see what's wrong. So it says it doesn't have any closing tag. This doesn't have a closing tag, I guess. No, it has. But since this doesn't have a closing tag, so we need to self-close this first. Yeah, so this fixes almost everything. Let me see if we got this aside tag. No, not yet. Why is it not working? Let me see. Something is wrong here. So article pagination aside, format document, and yeah, everything looks good. But why is it not working? Why is it showing at the bottommost part of the page and not at the rightmost part of the page? This is very annoying. Let me see. What are we doing wrong? Okay, so we have placed it inside the div. No, we haven't pasted inside the div, I guess. Okay, so I need to put it outside the section but inside the div. This should work, and it worked. Okay, awesome. So this is a template. We just copied the template. I know it took some time for us to copy this template, but I just wanted to show you that this template might not be very good. It looks good to me, but it might not look very good to you or your client. But always feel free to browse online free templates and get your copy. Okay, now the next thing that I want to do is I want to change these class is equal to instances to class name is equal to. So I want to change it to class name is equal to, so that I don't see any errors. Okay, awesome. So you can always change this text. You can change all these pictures. You can add your pictures, your username, your everything. But what I want to do now is, okay, so this arrow is looking too big. Let me see what's wrong here. Where is this arrow? Okay, I need to find this image because it is actually creating problems. So this is a fav icon, but it's too big. So continue reading. Okay, so this is this fav icon. I need to add a class name. I added a class name FAS, FA arrow right, but this is actually too big. So let me do one thing. Let me add a width to it. So I'll change all occurrences of this. Let me do word wrap, toggle word wrap so that I can see everything. And I want to change all occurrences of this, and I want to add W2. And let me see if this fixes things or not. So W2 is now added to this SVG, but it took no effect on this SVG, which is sad. Let me see what are we doing wrong here. ahref is equal to this, and I class is equal to W2. So this is inside this A tag. Okay, so you know what, instead of adding continue reading, I need to add a button. Instead of adding this, I'll add a button, and I'll say I don't want to add this continue reading, but I want to add a button here, and I want to add class name to wait, let me add continue reading, and let me see how it looks. Yeah, it looks good. Let me add background BG. I want to add this blue 700. I want to use the same text, and text white. Text should be white. Text white, please. No, it didn't work. I think we are using text gray, which is why it's not working. Now it should work. So yeah, text white, but this button is not looking good. So what else can we do to make it look good? Continue reading, and let me add padding py4. py4 will add some padding to this button. Border radius, border 3, border, or wait, rounded LG. Yeah, this looks good. This looks good to me. Awesome. So continue reading. This button looks good. And on hover, I don't want to change the text to black. Rather, I want to change the background to blue 600. So yeah, so this looks pretty good. This looks good. So you can click on this, or rather let me change the background to blue 800. Yeah, this looks even better. This looks even better. Yeah. And you can always copy this button and paste it to all occurrences of this thing. So if I say change all occurrences, there are 2 selections. I'll do Control C, Control V, and all of these occurrences should now be changed. Yes, they are changed. Awesome. So we have this block template, and the moment somebody clicks on this continue reading, what I want is I want them to go to the post page. Okay, but we'll make it dynamic. We don't want to manually take them to individual post pages. Okay, awesome. This looks good. Now we are going to Linode, and we are going to spin up a MongoDB instance. Okay, so let's connect to a MongoDB instance. Let me go to linode.com, and I am going to log into Linode. So in order to create MongoDB, all I will do is click on create, then on Linode, and then I'll simply go to marketplace, and then I'll search for MongoDB. So I'll type MongoDB, and this is the MongoDB setup. So I'm giving a password to MongoDB, then limited sudo user to be created for Linode, and I want it to be root. Then the password for sudo user, I want to keep the same password, so I'll simply reveal my password here, copy that password, hide my password, and yes, now I'll put the same password here, and then I will simply come down and choose Ubuntu 20. Then I want my region to be Mumbai, and then I'll simply choose dedicated 16 GB, and this is the root password. Okay, awesome. I'll simply click on create Linode. Now this Linode is provisioning, and using this I will be able to connect to my MongoDB database. Now in order to use MongoDB, I'll install MongoDB Compass. So MongoDB Compass. Now what is MongoDB Compass? It's a way to connect to MongoDB instances. I'll simply click on download now, and it will download MongoDB Compass for me. Okay, so MongoDB Compass is here, and it says that it's an app downloaded from the internet. Yes, I want to open it, and it is opening. And let's see for Linode is provisioned. I think it should be running now. Yes, it is running. Let me click on launch Lish console so that I can see whether MongoDB is installed inside this Linode or not. It's still working, so I'll wait for it, and in the meantime I'm opening MongoDB Compass. So I'll get back once this Linode is provisioned. You can always open Lish console to see whether the installation has succeeded or not. Okay, so awesome, everything looks good to me. Let me see if I can log into this MongoDB cluster or not. And let me tell you something, that you will not be able to log into this cluster. There is a reason for that. So the very first thing that we need to do in order to use this cluster is we'll go to marketplace Linode MongoDB. So there is a page from Linode. It's an amazing guide which will guide you through how to use MongoDB, which has been installed using Linode Marketplace. So let me show you a command. So these are the commands which you can run, and you can always use this. But let me tell you something. We want to do two things in our machine first. So the very first thing is that I want to SSH into my machine. Let me paste this command. Let me type yes. And let me also paste the password. So I have my password. So let me copy my password to clipboard, Control V to paste, enter, and yes. So let me zoom in a bit so that you can see what I'm doing. So as you can see, I'm inside my machine. So the very first thing that I'll do is UFW enable 27017, which is the default MongoDB port. UFW allow, sorry, I think allow is the command. Allow will allow incoming connections to this port because we want incoming connections to MongoDB database. And the next thing that you want to do is you want to go to this file etc/mongo.conf, and you want to add your IP address after this bind IP. Now you might think that it's too complicated of a process, but no, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is do this, and I enjoy doing all these things. Okay, so escape :WQ to exit Vim, and definitely I pressed enter after pressing WQ. And now I'll simply say sudo service MongoD restart. So MongoD is the name of the service which is responsible for MongoDB database. And let me see if I can log in now. So I'll go to advanced connection options. Just a moment. Authentication, username, password. So the username is going to be admin, and the password is going to be the same. So let me copy the password to the clipboard, Control V to paste, and I should be able to log into this now. So it says connection refused. Okay, so I think I need to enter the IP address as well. So let me copy the IP address again, and I'll paste my IP address in place of localhost. And if I connect now, I should be able to connect. Yes, we just connected to a MongoDB cluster. Awesome. Let me create a database, and I'll call it blog, and let me create a collection name, blog post. Okay, blog posts or blog post. Okay, let me create database not authorized on blog to execute command create. Okay, so we have a problem here. So the problem is that the user that we already have, the user called admin, it doesn't have permission. So I just came across this Stack Overflow, and I think this should solve our problem. But before we solve the problem, what we will do is we'll come back to this page and we'll run this command in our VPS. Okay, so let me run this command. So it says tell me your password. Let me give my password to the prompt. Let me copy, let me paste, enter, and yeah, we are here. So all we need to do now is we need to grant roles to our admin user. So let me say use admin, and now we want to grant roles, and I'll quit and I will restart my MongoDB service, and let me see if I can create database now. Yes, it worked. Okay, so awesome. So all you need to do is to give permission to admin user so that it can create a new collection and a new database. Awesome, it worked. The next thing I want to search for is how to use Next.js with MongoDB. So there is an example. I'll also write GitHub. There is an example from MongoDB developer. Yes, this one. No, not this one. Not this one. I think there is some other example. Next.js template. I think I will search for Next.js template MongoDB. Not this one, not this one, not this one. Oh god, I'm not able to find it. Let me search for it again. So there is a template, there is an example, Next.js example template, which tells how to use MongoDB. So how to integrate MongoDB in your Next.js application. This is a post from mongodb.com. Let me see if I can get some help from this post. So yeah, so this is the example. This is the example with MongoDB. So let me copy this command. I think this is the template. No, this is not the template. Let me see, where is this template? I simply Google for this command and I should be able to find this GitHub repo. Yeah, this is the GitHub repo I was talking about. And let me do something. Let me copy this link and paste it somewhere in the source code. And let me remove this as well because we're not using it. And let me also see how they have used MongoDB. So they have created a folder called lib, and inside lib folder they have a MongoDB.js. So what I'll do is I'll copy the content of MongoDB.js. Let me create a lib folder here. So I'll create a lib folder here, lib, not inside pages. I'll create it outside. Let me move it. No, I don't want to move it to .next. I want to move it just outside, please. Why am I not able to move it? What's wrong? Okay, so I want to move it here. So there is a lib folder and there is a MongoDB.js. MongoDB.js, yes. And I have copied the content. I copied the content, right? But it says that something went wrong. Not sure what went wrong. No worries, I'll copy and paste manually. So we have imported Mongo client from MongoDB. So I think we'll have to install an npm package. Let me see what else we need to do. So package.json. Yes, we need to install MongoDB. So yarn add MongoDB, or you can also do npm install MongoDB. It'll do exactly the same thing. Okay, so let's see how they have used it inside of their API. I'm going to copy this exactly as it is, and inside my pages, and inside I'll say sample api.js, or rather let me make it even smaller. I'll rename it to s.js. Okay, so this is the client promise that we imported, and I want to say client.db blog. Blog is the name of my database. And then we have collection. Let me call it blog post. Blog post is the name of my collection, and I'll simply do .find. That's it. And I think I'll have to provide a MongoDB URI, which I will provide inside .env.local file. So we'll create a file called .env.local, and I'll create an environment variable. So how do I provide my string? So let me copy the connection string. How do I copy the connection? Let me disconnect first, and then I'll copy the connection string. So let me copy the connection string very quickly. and let me paste it here. So I just changed my password to a very simple password, and definitely this will not work on this machine because I'll definitely delete this instance, but I've changed the password. And also I'll restart my server. I'll say yarn dev, and let me see if this works. Let me see if I'm able to go to localhost :3000 /API/s. So it says events count. Okay, so I think it is not fetching the movies. Let me see what's going wrong here. Let me console log movies. Let me see if I'm able to get anything in the console. So this is the thing that I'm getting in the console, and we are logging, we are returning this as our API response. Let me do one thing. Let me add a blog. So I'll simply let me save and connect, and I will give it red color, and I'll say MongoDB blog, save and connect. So this way you don't have to remember the user ID, password, IP address, and all those things. You can simply come back here and you can click here and you should be good to go. Let me click on blog, let me click on blog post, and let me add a document here. So I will simply click on add data, insert document, and let me simply say name blogs, insert. I just inserted an entry. Now let me reload this and let me see if I'm getting anything. So something is going wrong here. I'm not able to get the entry. So I just said client.db blog, and then movies is equal to db.collection blog post dot find, and I did not get this movies. So the issue was that you'll have to do 2 array in order to get the response from the API. So yes, we are getting the response from the API. So when I say movies is equal to db.collection, let me call it blogs. Why am I even calling it movies? I should call it blogs. And if I reload this, yes, we are getting the blogs. I just added some data in the database, and yes, we are getting it. Awesome. So we have an API which is fetching all the blog posts, and also we can have start and end blog posts by using we can use pagination and all that good stuff. But at this point, let me do something. I will come back to my blog and I'll see how it looks at this point. So this is the API that we are going to use, and this is how our website looks like. Now what I'll have to do is I will simply add all the blog posts here so that I'm able to see all the blog posts. Let me do one thing. I don't like one thing about this template, and that is the size of this image. So the problem with this image is that it is too big. So I want to make it little smaller than it is. So I want to give it a max width of 50% maybe. So I'll give it a max width of 50%. How do I do that? Let me find. So max width of 50%. Max width of 50% to all the images. Yeah. So I'll say class name is equal to max w 50. Max w 1/2 is there? No, I don't think there is any max w 1/2, but let me try. If I reload it, nothing happens. Okay, so I'll have to say max width 50% like this, and this should work. Yes, it works, but again the problem is that is it too small? No, I don't think so. It's just fine. We can make it 60%, and we can do trial and error and make this template look even better. Yeah, so this is how it looks at this point, and I'm very happy with how it looks, and I'm also very happy with how the blog post looks. So if I click on continue reading, I think I'll have to say post /post. Nope. I think the page that I created was um, I didn't I didn't even create that page, I guess. So there was a blog.html and post.html. I think I didn't create post.js. I should be creating post.js as well. So I'll create post.js and RAFCE for a React functional component. And then I'll come to this blog.html and post.html. Yes, I'll come to this post.html. So there is a font family which has been imported. I will add this to my global styles. So styles, where are you? We have our styles folder here. So we'll add this to our, okay, I've already done that. Awesome. All I need to do now is to copy this body and I'll have to paste it to my post.js. Yes. So instead of body, I'll call it div, and then once again div, rename all the class is equal to instances to class name is equal to, and then let me comment this out. Let me comment this out as well. Let me remove the Alpine.js thing from here. Let me remove all these Alpine.js things. I think, yeah, we are good. And what else? I think I'm going to remove this div as well. And close this image with a self-closing tag. What else do we want to do here? Yes. Okay, so this is the sidebar. Post.js. Okay. Let me see how it is looking at this point. I will remove this script tag. I will also remove this footer because I think I already have my footer.js in place. So I will definitely remove this footer. What else is creating problems here? Okay, so there are some unsplash images which are creating problems. Let me add a self-closing tag to all of them. What else do we want to do here? I think the page is good to go now. I'll close this HTML and I'll see whether slash post is working or not. Is slash post working? No, it is not. So it says that expected corresponding JSX closing tag. So still there are some issues. This is the aside tag. Oops, I accidentally commented it out. And yes, it works. Let me remove the navbar. I think we have a double navbar here. Let me remove this navbar because we already have a navbar coming from _app.js. Yes, it is looking good now. Awesome. So this is the featured image and this is the blog post. Nice. Awesome. So this is looking pretty good now. And we can definitely start showing post. Now what I want to do is I want to fetch the post from the database. So our post will have different type of things. It will have a slug, it will have content, it will have updated ad, deleted ad, updated ad, modified ad. It can have a lot of different things. I want to write the name of our blog here, somewhere here in the navbar. Let me see how I can do it. So let me have a look at navbar. And the best thing about Tailwind CSS is that you can always write a lot of CSS and Tailwind components and you can start adding your own elements. So I'm going to do the same thing. So here's the nav bar and there is another nav here, and what I want to do here is that I want to make sure that we have an image here. So I'll say div.image and I'll say image and let me see where it appears. So it appears here. This is looking pretty good. I think I can write the name of the blog. I'll say Harry's personal blog, and let me give it text white. Yes, text white. I want to give it text white, and I want to make it a little bit bolder. So font bold. Nice, it looks pretty good. You can always add your logo here. You can always make it uppercase. There is a Tailwind class called uppercase. Let me see how it looks. It looks pretty good. I think we are good to go. And here I want to write welcome to my personal blog or something, and I want to write this inside this page, index.js. So I'll say welcome to my blog or something like that, so that it doesn't look like a template. I want it to look like a blog. So let me tell you something. I'm going to make some changes to this template. For example, I'm going to change this lorem ipsum text to something about myself. I'm going to change this heading. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change all these links. But before I change the links, let me show you how to change the links. So in the navbar, what I'll do is I will import link from next link. And then instead of a tags, I'm going to use link tags, because if I use link tag, what will happen is the navigation will be pretty smoother without page being reloaded. Okay, so let me see if I can add a link tag, or rather if I can replace this with a link tag, and I'll add href as https facebook.com/code with Harry. Let me see if this link works. So if I click on this link, I will be taken to facebook.com/code with Harry, which is pretty amazing. Let me go back and let me show you something. If I add target is equal to underscore blank, if I say target is equal to underscore blank, I'll show you something. It will open in a new tab. And this is what I want, because I don't want people to get distracted from this Facebook link. I want it to open in a separate new tab, and for someone who was reading the blog, they can always switch tab back and start reading my blog or keep reading my blog. So now what I'll do is I'll keep some changes. I'll make some changes to this template and I'll be back. So I've made all the changes. I want to do one more thing, which is that I want to move this header to navbar. So where is my navbar.js? I want to move this to my navbar.js so that, oops, I think I did not copy this. So I'll do Control X to cut, Control V to paste, and I'll remove it from post.js. So I no longer need this. Also, I want to create a component for this aside tag. So there is an aside tag here. I want to create a component for sidebar section. So I'll call it sidebar. So I'll create a component inside of components. I'll call it sidebar.js and RAFCE, and I'll paste everything here. And instead of returning this div, I'll return a side tag, and I will use sidebar, SIDEBAR. Okay, and the same thing here as well inside post.js. So this is the sidebar section. I'll replace this. Yes, right click, format document to format it. And it says sidebar is not defined. Okay, no problems. Yes, it should be now defined. Yes, so Harry's personal blog, coding tips, tricks and more, and this is a component so that I can change everything here. I actually changed a lot of things. Also, instead of DGRZYB, I'll make it code with Harry. So it should be inside of sidebar section. So I'll say follow code with Harry. ahref is equal to https instagram.com/code with Harry, and I'll say target is equal to underscore blank. Oops. And if I click here, I should be directed to my Instagram. Okay, awesome. Now what I want is I want to keep the title here, the category here, and then if I click here, I'm going to the home page, which is good. And if I click on continue reading, I should be taken to the corresponding blog page. And as you can see that we changed this thing inside the component and it got changed on all the pages, which is amazing. And also I might want to get all these images from my Instagram, but I'm not doing it. You can do it for your blog if you're creating it, but this blog looks pretty good. I've added a home section, about me section, my resume section. Before we proceed, I want to check the responsiveness of this blog. Oops, I want to say inspect, and I want to check responsiveness of this blog, because if there is any issue, I'm going to fix it. So it looks like this in iPad Air. How about iPhone 12 Pro? Okay, so we got some problems here. So in iPhone 12 Pro, there are some problems which we need to fix for sure. Let me do one thing. Let me center it. So I'll say text align center, and I'll add some padding. We can add some padding like this, and also we can reduce the font size. We can reduce the font size a bit. So I can say font size can be 20 pixels or something, or maybe 22 pixels. And then when we make the screen size larger, we can definitely change it. And same goes for these logos as well. I think I need to bring all these logos down, or maybe we might want to keep them. How about we bring them down? So how do we bring these logos down? So we have this navbar and then this thing. Is this a flex box? Yes, it is a flex box. Flex wrap is wrap. I might want to change flex direction to column. And yes, adding flex direction column will fix it. But I will have to do it inside of this template. Okay. So let me take care of responsiveness. We have a lot of work to do. The very first thing that I want to do is I want to make it text SM. And let me see how it looks. Let me reload it. So text SM, I think I changed the wrong thing. I don't want to change this to text SM. Rather, I want to change this one to text SM. So it is actually text 5XL. I want to make it text XL, and later after MD breakpoint, I want to change it to text 5XL. Yeah, it looks good now. So this is how the website looks. Awesome. And here I want to do one thing. I want to say, you know what? Flex direction will be column, but right after MD will make flex as flex row. So that way it looks like this by default. And also I think we need to add spacing to our icons. So where are our icons? I'll say space X2. Yes, so the spaces are added automatically, as you can see. And if I make it larger, everything is good. I think I might want to make it 4. Yes, it looks good. I'm pretty satisfied with how it looks. Yes, it is very minimalistic, but it looks awesome. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. And you know what? You might want to add a hamburger icon here, and on click you want to show all these topics, or there are tons of things which can be done. But I want to use this minimalistic template because I just love it. To be honest, I love this template. It is minimal and it looks good. And you know what? I want to use this as my post image. I don't want to change the width of my post image. Because it looks good. This image size looks good to me at this point. And from responsiveness perspective as well, it is looking pretty good. So yeah, everything is awesome, nice. The post page should also be responsive. Let me check. I expect post page to be responsive as well. And yes, it is responsive. Everything is good. You might want to change the font size of Harry personal blog here. You might want to make it text LG or something. Let me see how it looks. Or maybe text XL or something, 2XL. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. And also I want to add some padding from top and bottom, PY2. Yes, everything looks good now. Yes, it is looking pretty good now. Yes, it is responsive, it is looking nice, and it is giving very good feels. Awesome. So we have made our blog responsive also. Now the next part is going to be the database connection. We want to pull all our blog posts from our database. All right, so I want to show you something. There is a way to get all this data to MongoDB Compass, and I'm going to show you that way. And we are going to put all these posts inside of MongoDB Compass. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me add a slug as well. So I'll say slug of this is going to be intro to py, and then let me add slugs for other blocks as well. So this is an array, and the entries of this array, the elements of this array are individual blocks. Okay, so let me add intro to Java, and let me add intro to say JS, and let me say PHP, intro to PHP. So I'll say PHP, and let me add intro to SW. Okay, so I've added slugs as well. Now let us say I want to add this to MongoDB. I can always use Mongo shell. I'll click on Mongo SH. I'll say show DBs. This will show me all the databases. Show databases. Now I can say use blog. I want to use the blog database. Now I'll say db dot blog post dot, and then I'll say insert many, and insert many takes an array. So I will firstly what I'll do is I'll simply go to insert many documentation so that I can see how exactly this insert works. Okay, so as you can see that this takes an array. I will copy the array that I have at my disposal. I will copy this array, the posts array, and then I'll paste it there. So let me come back to my MongoDB compass and let me paste it here. So I have already pasted it. Now let me execute it, and yes, the data has been inserted. But before I see that whether the data has been inserted or not, I want to delete this because I don't want this anymore. Now if I refresh, I should see my data here. So where is the option to refresh? So it says there is no data. Document 7. Why does it say it has no data? How about I refresh it? Let me refresh by clicking here. So as you can see that documents have started appearing here. We can add as many blog posts as we want, and it will simply take space in our VPS because we are using our resources from the VPS, the Linode that we created. Now as you can see that the title is visible, slug is visible, category is there, author is there, date is there, content is also there. So now we can fetch all this data firstly into our home page and then on our blog post page. But how do I start? I will start by creating two APIs. The first API is going to get the blog.js, and the next API is going to get blogs.js. And let me make it lowercase so that it's easy for us to use it. I'll call it getBlog. Let me copy this, and firstly let me simply add this. And what I'll do is I will, instead of copying that, I'll copy this, paste it here. And what I want to do here is I want to get all the blogs. So as you can see that I'm getting all the blogs using this. And if I go to getBlogs/API/getBlogs, API/getBlogs, it should give me all the blogs. Yes, it is giving me all the blogs, which is awesome. Now what I want to do is I want to fetch all these blogs into my home page. So how do I get started? What I will do here is I will create a function, or rather I'll use effect. So I'll say use effect snippet, and I will say whenever this page is loaded, what you do is you fetch all the blogs. So I will say fetch /API/getBlogs. So I will simply create an async function. I'll say const fetch blogs is equal to an async function, and this async function will fetch all the blogs. So I'll put everything inside of this async function. Let me make it async function. I will await it. I'll say let JSON response is equal to await rest.json, and I will say set state, or rather set blogs to JSON response. Now what is set blogs? I will remove this function. I'll say, you know what, I want to use state snippet, and I want to say blogs, set blogs is equal to an empty array. Now what I will do is I'll say, you know what, get me all the blogs. But before that, let me console log and see whether my JSON response is working or not. So use effect is not defined. I don't know why it doesn't auto import. Use effect, yes. All right, so I reloaded it. Let me see if I can see the data logged into the console. No. Why does it happen? Why can't I see all the blog posts here? Something is wrong. Okay, I haven't called this function yet, so I need to call this function. I need to say fetch blogs, and now this is going to work for sure. As you can see that we have 7 blog posts. Everything is working nice and clean. Awesome. It's working as expected. It's working as per the plan. So now what I want to do is I want to show my actual blogs instead of me showing all these sample articles. So I don't want to show all these sample articles. I want to show, let me remove all the articles. So there are 1, 2, 3. I think there are a lot of articles. I want to remove all these articles, and instead I want to show just the one article, and I want to use .map to map over all the blogs. So I'll say blogs.map blog, and I want to return this article. So let me paste it here, and let me see if I'm getting the article or not. Yes, I am getting the article, but instead of showing this hard-coded category, I want to say blog.category. Instead of showing this hard-coded text, let me do word wrap. Instead of showing this hard-coded author, I want to show blog.author. Instead of showing this hard-coded date, I want to show blog.date. Instead of showing this hard-coded content, I want to say blog.content. Okay. Let me see if the title and everything is, yeah, so the author is updated. Title is not updated. I think I haven't updated the title. So let me see if everything works here. Yeah, I haven't yet added blog.title. Now it should show me all the blogs. Getting started with Java, JavaScript fundamentals for beginners. Now, as you can see that this is showing me HTML content. I don't want to see the HTML content. Rather, I want to use dangerously set inner HTML from React. And how do you use it? It's pretty simple. All you need to do is simply create a function, create markup, and all you need to do is, I'll copy this function and I will paste it somewhere here. So this is my create markup function, and I'll say MRK, and I'll say MRK here. Okay, now all I need to do is I need to add this to my div where I want to render the HTML. So I want to render the HTML here, blog.content. Where is blog.content? Blog.content, where are you? Okay, it's here. So I will pass blog.content to this create markup. Okay, so I want to pass blog.content to create markup, and this should render all the HTML content. But the question is, it says that the object are not valid as React child found object with keys underscore HTML. I'm not sure what is wrong here. Okay, so instead of doing this, I think I need to add this, something like this. This should work for sure. This should work. Yes, it works. First few characters from my content, or I can also set a meta description which can be used to populate the content here. Okay, now if I click on JavaScript fundamental for beginners, I want to go to /post. So I want to go to /post. I want to go to the post page. So let me create a folder called post, and I want to create slug.js like this. Now let me tell you how this works, but before that, let me cut this and add this to slug.js, and let me delete this file because we don't need it anymore. Yes, move it to trash. So instead of having post.js, now I have this post, okay, and slug.js. Now what I want to do is I want to fetch the content for this slug. So I want to fetch the content for this particular slug, and in order to do that, I will use effect. And before that, I want to make sure that whoever is clicking on this post, on this particular post, should be directed to /blog or rather /post/slug of that post. So let's fix that first. I'll come back to my home page. And whenever somebody clicks on the title, whenever somebody clicks on the title, I want to change it to the link tag firstly, because I want to, so I'll grab my alt key and I'll change this to link. And I want href to be /title. So I'll say /post/slug of that post. So in order to add slug of that post, I will use a dollar symbol and I will say blog.slug. Okay, blog.slug. Let's see if this works. So it says link is not defined. Definitely I can always fix that by importing link from next link. Yes, so if I click on this, I'm going to /post/intro to py. Now I want to make sure that whenever I am getting this slug.js, I want to return. Firstly, I want to get the slug, the very first thing. The next thing is that I want to make sure that this dynamic route works. So if you go to Next.js documentation and you say Next.js dynamic routing, you will get to know how to use this dynamic route. So as you can see that you need to import this, and I'll do the same thing. I will import the router, and then they are saying that simply use this. Okay. And if you use this, you should be good to go. So instead of doing it here, I will do it here, format document. Yes. So instead of returning this, I want to get the slug from my router.query. So let's see if this works. Let me see if this page is working or not. But for some reason, this page doesn't seem to work. I think I've added it to the wrong place. Instead of adding it to the API, I need to add it to pages. So this is a mistake that I made. So I will remove, or rather move this page out of API folder directly into the pages folder. So if I open this slug.js, I should get the slug now. So let me reload this page and see if I'm getting the slug. Yes, I should be getting the slug. So what I will do is I will set the, I'll not do anything. I will simply console the slug, or rather I will add the slug here. I'll say this is the slug, and let's see if I'm getting the slug somewhere here. Yes, I'm getting the slug here. So the slug has reached this page at this point. Intro to py is there on this page. Now I want to use this slug and I want to fetch the block content. So I will simply remove all this HTML. I will create two states. The first one being, I will simply create a state called title, which is going to be undefined initially, and the next state is going to be the content. Okay, so this is the content and this is going to be the HTML content, and this is also be undefined initially. So all I need to do here is I need to remove all the HTML that is there inside of this, and I will definitely make it blank. So this is the place which shows the post. Let me use word wrap. Okay, now as you can see that there is a lot of HTML. I need to figure out what exactly I need to remove and how much content to remove. So this is the name of the author and everything. Awesome. What I want to do is I want to make sure that everything is nice and perfect. So if I remove this article, or rather I need to keep this article because this has the title. So I'll change it to blog.title. I'll say blog.title. I will change this to blog.content. So let me remove this HTML. I will remove this. I will remove this paragraph tag. Not sure why it's not working. If I do format document, I can't see an option to collapse it. But again, I will remove it. And I will say div.content, and I'll say dangerously set inner HTML is equal to underscore HTML blog.content. Now what is blog? We don't have the blog yet. So instead of using these states, I think all I need to do is use a blog state. So I'll say blog, set blog is equal to is equal to nothing, so it will be undefined initially, and then I will use effect and I will populate everything. So let me do one thing. Let me copy my use effect from here, and instead of calling it fetch blogs, I want to call it fetch blog because it is fetching a single blog. And I will say get blog slash the slug. Okay, so I'll say plus slug, and I will write the API for this. But before that, I want to make sure that everything works here. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me come back to this get blog and also get blogs, and let me copy this and paste it here. In this case, what I want to do is I want to find only the articles with slug as the slug which is passed. So how do I do that? So I want to say slug should be equal to slug. So I'll say slug dot to array response.json blog, and I want to say blog dot find one maybe. Okay, and yes, so this is how I want to write my query, but I want to make sure that this also has the slug. How do I get the slug from here is the question. Now what if I write question mark slug is equal to, and then I console log the request. So I'll say console.log request.query, and let me try hitting this get blog slash intro to py. So I'll say slash apis get blog slash intro to py. Sorry, question mark slug is equal to. Let me see if this works. So if I hit this, so it says slug is not defined. Okay, slug is not defined. Not sure what is wrong here. Let me see what is wrong. Yeah, so slug is not defined because request.query.slug. Sorry, so slug is request.query.slug, and let me see if this works now. So it says 404. Why 404? Request.query. If I reload this page, slash API slash getblog slash intro to py. So request.query is giving me this slug intro to py, and it says slug is not defined. Let me restart my server. I don't know what's going wrong here. Let me restart my server and reload this and see if I'm actually getting the response or not. Okay, so the mistake that I'm making is I need to add question mark slug is equal to intro to py slash getblog slash slug is equal to. Okay, so there is an error. db.collection.find array find one is not the to array is not a function. I think it automatically converts to array if I'm not wrong. Yes, it does. So I'm able to get the blog here, and we should be good now, because on this page I can now say that I have the blog, and if the blog is there, I want to add the title and everything. So let me go back to my home page. I will go back to my home page. Let us say I clicked on this. It says the use effect is not, but let me fix all these issues. Use effect. Let me reload. Blocked pages is not defined. Blocked pages, where is blocked pages dot title? Blocked pages, I'm not sure what that is. Blocked pages, so I'll say blog and then blog dot title. I need to add this blog and then, because if the blog is undefined, I don't want it to search for its title, and the same goes here. I'll copy this. I'll say blog and then blog dot author published on blog, and then I think we have date. Yes, date. We have the date. Dot date blog and then blog dot content. Let me see if we are getting any error. No, we are not getting any error, but we are not getting any author or the title or anything either. So let me see what is going wrong here. So I ran fetch blog. I can set the blog to this JSON response. I'm logging the JSON response. Let me see if everything is working or not. It says null, not sure what the problem is. So get blog question mark slug is equal to slug is giving me null. Why is it giving me null as a JSON response? I need to figure out. So let me reload this page and let me see if it's getting, so it says slug is undefined. Okay, so I need to make sure that the router is ready. So I'll say router dot is ready, router dot is ready. And now if I do it, it works. Okay, so it works now. So I want to make sure that the router is ready so that I have the slug and I can fetch the blog using the correct slug. So this is really very important. And I can also have a check that if the, so I can do something like this. I can say if the slug is not undefined, so if slug is valid, then only you fetch the blog, otherwise no need to fetch the blog. So this will reduce the number of requests with null going to the server. Okay, so if I reload this, everything works nice and clean. And if I go back to my home page, let me remove this intro to py from here, not looking good at all. Let me come back to, and also I want to remove this console log, this slug format document. And what else do I need to remove? Everything looks good at this point. Sidebar, index. Let me come back to my blog. If I click on Harry's personal blog, this is looking good. You can also store the image and you can always do that, but I'm not storing the image here because I know you can do that. You can simply add image to the image URL to this object and you can display the image by using the src attribute of image tag. And you can also use pagination. It's very easy to use pagination with MongoDB. Now you might also want to click on these and get the corresponding articles, and that should be easy as well because you can query the database by saying that I want to get only the articles which are tagged JavaScript. So you can say whether the article has category as JavaScript or not. So you can query by category and this should be easy as well. Now if I click on say this blog, or rather say this blog, Ruby on Rails, I can get the content Ruby on Rails. So it says undefined, not sure what's wrong here. Why does it say undefined? I think I haven't added the slug in ruby.rails. Yes, I haven't added the slug. I need to add it. So let me add slug. So you can also add a field by simply clicking on plus, and then you can say slug, and you can say Ruby on Rails, and you can click on update. Okay, so Ruby on Rails. And if I reload this page, I'll go back, reload this page. If I click on Ruby on Rails now, it should open this Ruby on Rails page. I'm not sure what's wrong here. I think the content is not there in ruby.rails. Not sure what is going on here. So okay, so it's still updating the document. Not sure why it's stuck updating the document. It's stuck updating the document. The document is not yet updated. So I'll wait for it to update, and once it's updated, we should see everything, but not sure why it's not. So it says connection has been closed. Okay, so now the document is updated. So now if I reload this page and if I open Ruby on Rails, it looks pretty good, but I'm not sure why this previous and next button are so big. It's funny, right? It's too big. Let me check with other blogs and let me see what is different on other blogs. Okay, so these are too big. I don't know why these are so huge. Okay, I just reloaded the page and everything works nice and awesome now. So everything is looking good. You can open any article, it should work, and I'm pretty happy with how this blog is working. Now go ahead, create your blog, maybe make it a little more fancy. Now I hope that you were able to build the blog. I hope you liked this video and you learned a lot from this video. Thank you so much guys for watching this video, and I will see you next time.